I know what's being said out there. People talk about fake smiles, about money turning into arguments, about how exhausting it's become to keep someone happy, about the price you pay just to not be alone. They're not wrong. I've seen it too. I've felt it. But after all that anger, there's a truth that hits even harder. It's the moment a man stops arguing. Not because he lost, but because he's too tired to keep winning. I didn't choose being alone because it felt romantic. I chose it because I reached the limit of what I could carry. Tonight, we're talking about why after 50, saying no becomes the most powerful decision a man can make. When your time stops feeling like your own. I had years of real happiness with my former wife. Then everything collapsed at once. My career fell apart, and the marriage didn't survive that season. After I rebuilt myself, I dated again. A few different women, nothing dramatic, nothing hostile. What I noticed surprised me. It wasn't that I was difficult. It was that truly understanding a man at this stage of life is rare. Most relationships didn't begin with conflict. They began with expectations. And very early on, something familiar appeared. My time stopped feeling like my own. Not through arguments, but through things that looked reasonable at the time. Where are you going? Who are you meeting? What are you doing this weekend? Soon, weekends were no longer open. They were organized, planned, filled. And that's usually when men start disappearing without leaving. I don't blame anyone for this. I think many people were taught that love means knowing everything, tracking everything, managing each other's time. Maybe that worked when we were younger. The hardest loss to notice is the one that happens slowly, with good intentions. Back then, we could adapt. We could bend. We could give ourselves away and recover quickly. But at this age, something changes. Time becomes fragile. Peace becomes valuable, and privacy is no longer distance, it's survival. What I need now isn't intensity, it isn't constant togetherness, it's a relationship that respects quiet, that understands a man doesn't disappear when he needs space. He's protecting what keeps him steady. I haven't found that kind of connection yet, and that's okay. At this age, not rushing is also a form of wisdom, because after everything I've lived through, I'd rather wait than lose my time again without noticing. At this stage of my life, protecting my time is how I protect myself. Why being with someone can feel lonelier than being alone? For the past 5 years, I haven't officially dated anyone. There was a woman I cared about, but I wouldn't call it a relationship. I'll speak about her later. People look at my life and ask the same question. Aren't you lonely? What I learned is this. Loneliness doesn't always come from being alone. I've been in relationships where I felt far more lonely than I ever did living by myself. I think of Sarah. She was 35, attractive, warm, very alive. From the outside, everything looked right. The affection, the closeness, the kind of intimacy that leaves you breathless. But beneath all of that, something was missing. She didn't really see me, not my interests, not my concerns, not the quieter parts of who I was. When I spoke about those things, they never seemed to land. So I stopped talking, not to keep peace, but to avoid friction. It felt easier to stay quiet than to keep explaining myself. That wasn't the silence of comfort. It was the silence of someone trying not to get hit. I found myself agreeing to things I didn't enjoy. Photos posted online, loud gatherings with people half my age, moments that looked happy but didn't feel like mine. I smiled, I nodded, I let it pass. And to be fair, if I never spoke up, how could she know? In many ways, I trained her to move without me. I remember one photo in particular. It was intimate, private. She shared it online without hesitation, excited to show that we were happy. Later, I caught myself wondering whether my smile in that photo was real or simply practiced. When phones weren't present, she seemed restless. And sometimes I realized something unsettling. I wasn't truly being seen even by the person sleeping beside me. Bodies can touch, souls often don't, and I didn't understand her inner world either. So eventually I stopped. There's a moment when you look at the person next to you and understand that being alone feels lighter than continuing to perform. That's when being single stops feeling like a sentence and starts feeling like relief, not because the relationship was wrong, but because we only knew each other on the surface. Some of my friends are still on dating apps every day. Not because they struggle to meet someone, they usually don't. What they struggle with is finding something real. What strikes me isn't the number of dates, it's what those dates are built on. Profiles carefully edited, photos chosen to impress, interests adjusted to look compatible. On both sides, two people meet already performing. When the first contact is built on presentation, what foundation is left for honesty? It's no surprise that dating is frequent while lasting connection is rare. And over time, I began to notice something deeper. The difficulty isn't just modern dating. It's not technology. It's that connecting with another soul has become harder because many people have never learned to sit with their own. If you've listened this far, stay with me, because what comes next isn't about dating. It's about why real connection feels so distant now. Why some people can't stay single. Not everyone chooses to live alone. Many people stay in relationships not because of love, but because they fear the echo of their own voice in an empty room. Often they haven't connected with themselves yet, and without that, any connection with another person will still feel hollow. After Sarah, I chose to be single for a while. At first, the silence was uncomfortable. The house felt empty. Night after night, I kept the television on, as if noise could protect me from something unseen. One night I turned it off. The voices inside came rushing in. They knew exactly where to hurt. I tried ignoring them. I kept myself busy. None of it worked. I was exhausted from avoiding myself. I was almost miserable. That's why we moved so quickly into the next relationship. Not to discover something meaningful, but to replace silence with noise and avoid the questions waiting underneath. Running never solves anything. Sooner or later, the soldier has to rise, not to chase conflict, but to reclaim peace. So one evening I faced them. Yes, I made mistakes. Yes, I regret some things. I'll do better where I can. That was all. I went to sleep. Over time, the silence stopped being frightening. It became familiar, then steady. That's why being single after 50 isn't a failure. It's a test of courage. The courage to sit with yourself without distractions. After 50, this becomes clearer. Being alone isn't the easy path, it's the honest one. And I no longer expect anyone to rescue me from that. If this part resonated, you don't need to explain it. Just write "I know" in the comments. When peace starts mattering more than passion. When a man spends too long without closeness, his body begins to push back. That pressure has led many men to choose quickly instead of choosing wisely. Not because they're careless, but because they're tired. After 50, you need twice the clarity. It's not because passion is gone. It's because at this stage of life, emotional blows, both mental and financial, are far harder to recover from. A friend of mine, Robinson, went through something similar. He spent too much time meeting women with whom there was no real emotional alignment. At first, it didn't seem like a problem, but it didn't take long before he felt drained. Endless conversations that went nowhere. Expectations he was supposed to live up to. Short bursts of excitement, followed by a deeper sense of exhaustion. Intimacy that promised connection, but never stopped the wear that came after. Arguments, reconciliations, tension, gifts meant to smooth things over. different faces passing through his home. After a while, no one stayed. What did remain was the quiet feeling of wasted time and a wallet noticeably lighter than before. After 50, peace becomes practical. It's not about romance. It's about not splitting your income, your attention, and your nervous system into relationships that lead nowhere. If you've reached this stage in life, a simple like helps this reach the men who need it. Real romance now is wearing old clothes, sitting in your own home. Sometimes that includes another person. Not someone who rearranges your life, but someone who fits into it without pressure. And if that person never appears, that's not a problem. Your life is already full. At this age, what's real starts to feel more attractive than anything that needs effort to maintain. Robinson isn't chasing beauty anymore. Passion is loud. Peace is a luxury, and now he knows the price. Have you ever met someone like Robinson? Why choosing yourself looks selfish to others? When Robinson and I stopped chasing relationships, some people felt uncomfortable. They saw living alone as lonely, as failure, an idea so deeply rooted that few ever question it. I don't blame them. They see life from a different place, and they don't truly understand what we've already lived through. But something interesting happened. As we moved through the hard parts of solitude and grew steadier, calmer, people started to notice. Some were surprised, and some quietly were envious. They had partners, but they lacked the freedom we had learned to keep. Waking up without pressure, moving at my own pace, letting my habits belong to me again. I started learning things I kept postponing, skills that don't impress anyone, but quietly sharpen me. The kind of progress that doesn't need witnesses. Call it selfish if you want. To me, it feels like relief. If there's a man in your life who's carrying too much, this might be worth passing along. After 50, selfishness isn't a flaw. It's the moment you stop bleeding energy just to make other people comfortable. Being single at this age isn't because no one chose you. It's because you finally stopped choosing out of fear. And what you get in return is a life you don't have to escape from. The life you don't have to escape from. Right now, I feel free, socially and mentally. I do what I want. I go where I choose. Nothing pulls me apart. Outside of work, I take long walks. I exercise. I play badminton at a local club. When I get home, I take care of my dog and spend time in my garden. In the evenings, I watch the shows I enjoy while preparing dinner. Nothing dramatic, nothing rushed. Just a life that feels like mine again. That's not loneliness, that's freedom with its volume turned down. If this way of thinking speaks to you, you'll feel at home here. Some people find that life inside a relationship, but only when it doesn't require them to disappear. Others find it once they step away. I've experienced being close to someone without feeling smaller. I mentioned earlier that I haven't officially dated anyone. That's true, but there is a woman I care about. Her name is Elena. She's a nurse. We met when she helped care for me during a hospital stay, after I pushed myself too far and collapsed from exhaustion. We stayed in touch, not constantly, not intensely. Some weeks we meet once, just coffee, sharing small, personal things. Some weeks, we watch a film together, and sometimes a whole month passes without seeing each other at all. She doesn't check my schedule. She doesn't ask where I've been. Her own life is busy enough. At times, we grow a little closer, but there are no expectations attached. She never asks, "What are we?" and I don't feel the need to explain. I feel comfortable around her and peaceful when I think of her. So the question isn't whether you're seeing someone or not. It's whether your life still gives you room to breathe or slowly makes you smaller. After 50, that answer matters more than labels, more than appearances, more than explaining yourself to anyone. When your life no longer needs escaping, you stop chasing proof, you simply live. One word: peace or freedom. Being alone didn't make my life smaller, it made it more intentional. Fewer directions, clearer movement. If you're alone, don't treat it like a waiting room. This is not a pause between lives, this is your life. That perspective is what Move or Die Stoic exists for. Mornings you don't rush through, evenings that don't require emotional cleanup, days designed for how you actually feel, not for how you're supposed to look. After 50, life stops asking what looks good from the outside. It asks what you can carry without breaking yourself. Some men will choose to share that life with someone. Others will choose to protect it by standing alone. Both paths can be full. Both require honesty. The goal was never to escape loneliness. It was to stop living a life that slowly pulls you away from yourself. And if your answer right now is a calm, steady no, honor it. And if it's a careful, honest not yet, honor that too. Because in the end, a man's worth isn't measured by how many people surround him, but by whether he has the courage to be himself when no one else is there.